I want to share a true story about VA loans. I worked directly with the VA, mainly in the San Francisco office back in the late 80s and early 90s. So I was able to deal directly with people who had been in the VA lending part of the division for a very long time. I got to know them. There was a pretty small crew there, and I would submit loans directly to their office. And one thing that they made very clear from the beginning, and so did my mentor, who was totally into VA loans, and he was a retired Vietnam medic, and he believed very strongly in helping veterans, and that's how I got my passion for helping veterans. And that's always my first goal, is to help veterans and their families. So basically, they are in themselves a separate type of loan. So as I got into this business longer, I had underwriters try to tell me, well, VA doesn't really have a guideline for that, so we just stick with FHA after that. And at first I fought them on that because that didn't make sense to me from what I'd been taught by VA. But eventually I started just going, okay, we'll go with FHA then. Well, I called VA on one deal. I knew it wasn't right. We were asking for something that it was an FHA requirement, not a VA requirement. FHA is more strict than VA. Veterans are to be taken care of per the VA. All that VA wants is to help veterans have affordable housing. And so just quoting an FHA guideline because VA wasn't clear is wrong. And actually what VA has said to me, in writing even, is that they intentionally made guidelines vague so that the lender could feel like they could make their own decision. As long as they could justify it and show that they were making a prudent lending decision, they could just go ahead and approve something that FHA wouldn't allow. A good example of that is a veteran that took out, I think it was like a $5,000 unsecured line of credit. It was a situation where the seller wasn't going to pay any costs. The veteran wanted the house, and so the veteran was going to have to use an unsecured line of credit. With every other type of loan, the minute the customer says, I got an unsecured line, it's not going to work. Typically, we have to figure out ways to get around that. We have to get a gift from a relative. We have to find another way to get funds to close. VA actually allows it. Until they put it in writing that they don't, they're going to leave it up to the lender. So that's just something to keep in mind. If someone starts quoting things to you and you feel like it should make sense, talk to a VA expert, which I am. And what we did on that loan was we went ahead and showed what the minimum payment would be with the unsecured line of credit. He qualified for the loan either way, and VA was fine with it. And I put in my approval why I approved the loan. He had a very stable income, and he was a very minimal debt user. The only reason he pulled money out was to get a home. VA was all for that, and I closed the loan. If I had said, well, FHA doesn't allow that, that would have been wrong. If my lender would have said, we're not going to allow that, then I would be finding a VA lender that would actually follow through and approve the loan. So keep that in mind.